In this video, we're looking at DAX, DAX, that is Data Analysis Expression, and under it, we're looking at some aggregate functions. So what is DAX? DAX is that special language that can be used to create formulas to analyze and summarize your data. I call it that calculator that you can use to perform some advanced calculations in your data in either Microsoft Excel or in Power BI. With DAX, you can go beyond creating simple or basic formulas. You can create advanced calculations, advanced formulas to summarize or get insight from your data. Let's say you want to create a column that is going to calculate the profit. With DAX, you can do that. You want to create a measure that wants to capture the total sales made for a particular year. With DAX, you can do that. Or you want to filter your data dynamically. You want to find the sales made in a particular region. With DAX, you can do that. So in this video, we're looking at some aggregate function, aggregate DAX functions like sum, average, count, distance count, and the likes. All right, let's check it out together.
Alright, so we stopped here in our last video, so I can just format this. This is currently showing date and time, so I'll turn it to short dates. Yeah, so holding on this. Okay, so we'll do the same thing for this one too. It's also showing short date. Okay, so we're looking at aggregate functions. Aggregate function, just as explained in the video that you just watched, that there are functions used to perform aggregations in your data. So let's just go back to, we created a pivot table using the data in a Power Pivot here, and here are all our data here in this place. So you can see this is all the data. You want to see the active ones, you'd see that. So let's look at some questions that we have here. So these are the questions here. We have some questions here. Want to know how many orders were placed. How many orders were placed. So to get this, we can use two functions. You can either use count rows or count function. What would this function do? So let's just go back to our Power Pivot here. Don't forget, this is the area. I mentioned it's supposed to be our measure area, where let's call it calculation area. You can calculate your measures. Using DAX. So I'll just do that in the order fact table, because this is the place. This is the table containing our measures, so I'll do that here in the order fact table. So what I want to know the total number of orders placed, right? So I just select here, and I thought that you can use two functions. You can either use count rows or you use count function. The count row would count all the rows, while the count function will count all whichever column you want to use. You count any column you add to it as an argument. So I'll just select somewhere under this calculation area, then come here and I'll type in total orders. So we'll see the difference between total orders, then semicolon and equal to semicolon. You must always put the semicolon equal to, then I would say count. Let's start with count. So you can say count the number in a column. It counts the number in a column. So I'll double click on this, and the column I want to work with is orders, order ID. So order ID. You can see order ID here. I'm going to select this order ID, double click on it, order ID, and I'll close my parentheses. Then I'll hit enter. The moment I hit enter, this has been calculated. So all I have to do is just drag this so that you can see it. So you can see total orders is 50. So let's try to use count rows. We just finished using count. So we'll say total orders. Let me give it total orders 2, then equal to total orders 2. Then I would say count rows. You can see count the number of rows in a table. For count, it counts the number of data in a column. Why for count rows, count the number of rows in a table. So I'll double click on this and I would say what is the table you want to work with. You can see the argument is just table. The table you want to work with is the order fact table. So I'll double click on this. It takes the argument table. Now close my parentheses and I'll hit enter. you should still get the same value, the same result. We should still get the same result. The ID here, all this data here on the order factor, it indicates the number of orders placed. It's showing the number of transaction, number of time customer comes in to purchase goods. So it's okay. We use this function now to get the result. So the next one is, what is the maximum and minimum sales made? Maximum and minimum sales made. We want to know the maximum and minimum sales made. So I'll just go back. The function we use in doing that is the max and min function. So to do that, I just come here. I want to get maximum sales made. I just come here and give it max sales made. Name it max sales made. Then semicolon and equal to. And I'll use the function max. So you can see it max. What it does is that it returns the largest numeric value in a column, or larger values between two scalar expressions. So I'll double click on this blue box now. And the first argument is, the only argument it takes is just, you can take more than, is the column name. What is the column name? Or you want to input some scalars. So the column name I want to work with is the sales amount. So I'll just type in sales. So you can see it here, sales amount. I'll double click on this sales amount and I'll close my parentheses and I'll hit enter. So you should see maximum sales made is this. Same thing if I want to get for minimum sales made, make sure you select somewhere in your calculation area, then come here and do minimum sales made. The semicolon equal to, now use the function minimum, min, returns the smallest numeric value in a column. Double click on this. Then the first argument here is the column. Is this column you want to input or scalar? Don't forget I said anytime you see an argument in a square bracket, it means that argument is optional. So we are not dealing with scalar now. We want to work with the column name. So I'm just going to type in sales amount. Then I'll close my parentheses and I'm going to hit enter. Then it gives me the minimum sales made. The maximum sales made is over 2,550, while the minimum sales made is over 100. So that's that, right? Okay, so what else do you want to do? So come here and okay, let's go back and check. Look at the question. We've checked for how many orders and minimum. So the next one is, how many customers do we have? How many customers do we have? So let's look at this. Let's go back here. How many customers do we have? I'm going to say, okay, we want to find total customer. Now there's something called distinct count. But let's see. You may wonder, why don't we use count? If you want to count using the order, the customer in the order fact table, then there will be need for you to use distinct count, because the number on the order fact table here, the customers appeared more than once. They were duplicated. You can only use count if you are working with the dim for customers, the dim for customer table. But here on the order, if you want to work with the order fact table, you would use distinct count. So equal to, so I'm saying distinct count. Distinct, can see distinct count. What it does, it counts the number of distinct values in a column. Distinct count. So I can say, let me use the I'm going to use the order, the customer ID. So I'll come here. Now if you're selecting customer ID, it's going to be weird. So if you're using distinct count, it should be that you're working with a table that contains duplicate of that customer ID. So I'm going to use the order fact table. Okay, order fact table, distinct count, and I'll close my parentheses. Now hit enter. This is when I use distinct count to count the number of customer ID in the order fact table that contains duplicates. Can you see just 3 customers? So now let's use that same method. But now we're going to use just count, but it's going to be counting the customer ID in the dimension table for customers. So I'm going to say total customers 2, because we already have the name with the name customer, total customer. So what this time I'm going to use count. So what I want to count the customer ID in the dimension table for customers. Don't forget, in that dimension table for customers, we don't have duplicates there. That's why I'm using count. Now I'll close my parentheses and hit enter. So can you see we have, now let me drag this so we can see it clearly. Can you see we have 3 now? We have 3 here, we also have 3 here. So let's go back and check what other question we want to answer with our data. So how many products do we sell? what is the total sales made. So how many products do we sell? So let's go back, and total sales made. So product do we sell? I want to find total products. So come here, I'm going to use count. Total products. I'll use count and count the product ID in the dim for product. So I'm going to say count. So you can use count or distinct count depending on which table you are working with. So count, and what I want to work with is the product ID from the product dimension table. So product ID from this product dimension table. I'll hit, now close my parentheses, now hit enter. So can you see this 3 products? So the next one is the total sales made. So I'll come here, make sure you select somewhere in this calculation area. So I'll say total sales equal to, then to do that I'm going to use a function called sum. The first argument, the only argument it takes is the column name, the column you want to sum. I want to sum all the data here in the sales amount column. So I'll just type in sales amount. So you can see sales amount here. Sales. Now you can see we have other fact table sales amount and you have sales amount. If you are sure that the table you are working with is where the table you are on currently, where you are performing your calculation on is currently, we are on the order fact table. We are calculating all our measures here in the order fact table. So I don't think there's a need for me to indicate that I'm working with order fact table again because I'm already on order fact table. I didn't be on subcategory group or another table different from order fact table. You can now indicate the column it's coming from. But since I'm currently on order fact table, I'll just go with sales amount. If you are not, you go with the table, the one that carries the table name and the column name. So let's look at this. I'll close my parentheses and I'll hit enter. Then this gives me the sum. Like you can always add commas if you want to, reduce decimals. Same way you do that thing, or change or add this thing to it, add symbol, currency symbol to it. So you can. Then what else are we going to look at? We've checked for total product and total sales. So the next thing we're told to find is what is the average quantity of products. So to find the average quantity of products, let's go back, and the average sales made per customer. So average quantity of products, I'll come here, select somewhere here, then I'll say average QTY of product. Or let me just product. Let me just type it in of products. So what do I want to find? Average. So you type in the function average, you can see returns the average arithmetic. So I'm going to click on this average, and what do I want to find? Of average quantity. So quantity. So you can see quantity. Same thing. If you are sure that the table you are working with is where you are creating your measures on, just click on this. So quantity. But if you're not sure, click on the one that carries the table name and the column name. Quantity. So I'm going to close my parentheses and hit enter. Then I'll get the average quantity of products that were sold. Can you see the 132.5? The next thing we're told to find was the sales made per customer. So for us to get sales made per customer, it means we have to divide the number of customers that we have by no, we're going to divide the sales by the number of customers that we have. So I'm going to say, okay, for me to do this now, I'll just put sales per customer, semicolon equal to, then I'll use a function called divide. So I can use divide, then the first argument, what's the numerator? There was a denominator. So my numerator, I'm going to give it maybe total customer. Now your arguments can also be a measure you already calculated. So let me use total customer, comma, then my denominator is going to be my sales, total sales. So I'm going to use total sales. So close my parentheses. No, your first argument should be total sales, then the second argument should now be total customer. The second argument should be total customer now. no, let's total customer. Total customer. Okay, so I'm going to close my parentheses. So alternate means if you want to add something else, okay, if it doesn't meet, what should it return? So I'm not adding that. You can see is in a square bracket, means it's optional. So I'll close it. Now hit enter. We should get our, so you can see sales per customer. You're getting over 22,083. Okay, so sales divided by customer. So per customer you're getting, this is per customer, this is the what we're getting, revenue per customer. It may not be, yeah, revenue per customer. If you start using your dates to slice it through, now you get it correct. You're seeing currently like the total. So this is just all about how to use, you can use the operators add, minus, plus to also perform the calculation. Try it out. We'll look at that in our next video also. All right, do go to practice as usual. Don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button if you are just visiting this page for the first time. We'll meet in our next video. Bye bye.